before humanity ever walked the earth, before Adam opened his eyes in the Garden of Eden, before sin entered the world, there was heaven, a place of unimaginable beauty and perfect harmony. Yet hidden within that perfection was the beginning of a story that would eventually affect every human being who would ever live. It is the story of Lucifer, the angel who would become Satan. But how did it happen? How could a being created in perfection become the enemy of God? To answer that question, we must travel back to the very beginning. The Bible describes heaven as the dwelling place of God. It was not a place of chaos. It was a kingdom of order, a realm overflowing with light, joy, and purpose. Countless angels served God willingly. Every part of heaven reflected His glory. There was no suffering, no rebellion, no death. Everything existed exactly as it was meant to. The angels carried out many responsibilities. Some delivered messages. Some protected God's people. Others worshipped before His throne. Day and night, heaven echoed with praise. The angels were not robots. They had intelligence. They had emotions. And they had free will. That free will would soon become the center of heaven's greatest crisis. Among all these heavenly beings stood one angel who seemed extraordinary. His name was Lucifer. The name means light-bearer or morning star. The prophet Ezekiel describes him as being full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Lucifer possessed incredible gifts. He was admired, respected, honored, and perhaps closer to the throne of God than almost any other created being. Imagine being the most admired angel in heaven. Everywhere Lucifer went, his beauty reflected the glory of his Creator. The Bible suggests that precious stones adorned him. His appearance was breathtaking. But God's purpose was never for Lucifer to draw attention to himself. His purpose was to point others toward God. And for a time, that is exactly what he did. Many Bible teachers believe Lucifer may have played a role in heavenly worship. Although Scripture does not describe every detail, many see hints that he possessed unique musical responsibilities. If true, Lucifer stood in one of the most privileged positions imaginable. He regularly witnessed the glory of God. He experienced divine perfection. He lacked nothing. Yet despite having everything, something dangerous began growing within him. At first, the change may have been almost invisible. Perhaps it began with a simple thought, a moment of self-admiration, a feeling of pride. After all, Lucifer was beautiful, powerful, influential. The problem wasn't his gifts. The problem was forgetting where those gifts came from. Instead of glorifying God, Lucifer slowly began glorifying himself. Pride rarely appears all at once. It grows quietly, like a tiny crack in a foundation. Over time, that crack becomes larger. Lucifer began focusing on his own greatness, his own abilities, his own status. And the more he focused on himself, the less satisfied he became with his position. He wanted more. One day, Lucifer's desires crossed a dangerous line. He no longer wanted merely to serve. He wanted authority. He wanted power. He wanted worship. The very things that belonged to God alone. What began as pride was becoming rebellion. And heaven was about to witness something it had never seen before. Isaiah records words often connected to Lucifer's fall. 5 times he declares the same phrase. I will ascend. I will exalt my throne. I will sit upon the mount of assembly. I will ascend above the clouds. I will be like the Most High. These words reveal the true battle taking place inside his heart. Lucifer no longer wanted to reflect God's glory. He wanted that glory for himself. He envisioned a future where angels honored him, where heaven followed his commands, where his throne stood beside God's. Perhaps he believed he deserved it. Perhaps pride had blinded him completely. Whatever the reason, rebellion was no longer merely a thought. It was becoming a plan. Rebellion rarely stays isolated. Soon Lucifer began influencing others. The Bible gives only glimpses of what happened, but Scripture indicates many angels followed him. Questions began spreading. Doubts emerged. Some angels listened. Others remained loyal. Heaven was becoming divided. Imagine the shock. The perfect kingdom of heaven had never experienced division. Yet now angels faced a choice. Would they remain loyal to God? Or would they follow Lucifer's vision? The decision each angel made would determine their eternal future. Many angels immediately recognized the danger. They understood that God alone was worthy of worship. God alone was creator. God alone deserved absolute authority. These faithful angels refused to compromise. Their loyalty would soon be tested in ways they could never imagine. Among heaven's loyal servants stood Michael. The Bible identifies Michael as a powerful archangel, a defender of God's people, a warrior devoted to God's will. As Lucifer's rebellion expanded, Michael would become one of its strongest opponents. Soon the two sides would collide. We are not told exactly how the confrontation unfolded, but eventually the rebellion could no longer remain hidden. The challenge to God's authority was now open. The lines had been drawn. Loyalty and rebellion stood face to face, and heaven held its breath. Across the heavenly realm, angels gathered. Some rallied behind Michael. Others followed Lucifer. What had started as pride inside one heart had grown into a conflict involving countless heavenly beings. The first war in existence was about to begin. No human war could compare to what was coming. This was not a battle over land, or wealth, or power between nations. It was a battle over authority itself. A battle over who would rule. A battle between loyalty and rebellion. Lucifer stood before his followers, confident, determined, certain of victory. Perhaps he believed his wisdom would prevail. Perhaps his pride convinced him he could challenge the Creator himself. But every step he took was leading toward disaster. And then, it happened. After countless warnings, after pride had spread through heaven, after angels chose their sides, the moment of decision finally arrived. Michael, commander of heaven's armies, stepped forward. Across from him stood Lucifer, once the most beautiful angel ever created. The tension that had been building for ages could no longer be contained. Heaven itself seemed to stand still. Then, in a flash, their swords collided. A shockwave of light erupted across the heavens. The first war in existence had begun. But what happened next? How did Lucifer's rebellion unfold? How did 1/3 of heaven's angels fall? And how did Lucifer lose everything? We'll uncover the battle that changed eternity in the next episode. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2. And tell us in the comments, do you think Lucifer believed he could actually defeat God? Or had pride completely blinded him? Until next time, the story is just beginning.